What happens when a Hollywood legend faces off against a former royal in front of millions? This clash on the Spotlight Hour became a moment etched in television history. Will Smith, the iconic actor known for roles in Men in Black and The Pursuit of Happiness, and Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex who stepped away from royal duties to carve a new path in America, appeared on the show to promote their projects. Will was there to talk about his new film Unbreakable Spirit, while Harry was promoting a documentary series on mental health. The host, the charismatic Oprah Winfrey, promised a deep conversation. But no one was prepared for what happened next. The studio of the Spotlight Hour in New York buzzed with energy. Bright spotlights illuminated the stage, and the live audience hummed with anticipation. Applause erupted as Oprah introduced the guests. Will Smith stepped out first, his signature smile lighting up the room. He waved and took a seat on the couch, dressed in a sleek gray suit. Following him was Prince Harry, in a sharp navy blazer, with a relaxed smile but a hint of tension in his eyes. They shook hands, exchanged light-hearted banter, and the audience laughed. Next to Oprah sat co-host, journalist Ellen Portman, who smiled while clutching her notes. "Will, Harry, welcome!" Oprah began, her voice warm but commanding. "You're both working on projects that touch the human soul. Will, tell us about Unbreakable Spirit." Will leaned back on the couch, his voice calm yet passionate. He spoke about the film, which explores a person's struggle with inner demons and the search for meaning. The audience listened intently, nodding as he mentioned the importance of family. Then Oprah turned to Harry, who shared details about his documentary series dedicated to mental health and breaking stigma. The atmosphere was warm, cameras hummed, and the crowd applauded after each response. But the mood shifted when Oprah asked what seemed like an innocent question. "Harry, you left the royal family to live more openly. Will, you talk a lot about authenticity in your roles. How do you both define what it means to be authentic in a world that constantly judges?" Harry answered first, his voice measured but laced with passion. "For me, it's about being honest with yourself," he said. "Leaving royal life was tough, but I wanted to live in a way that felt true to me, without titles defining who I am." The audience clapped, but Will, who had been smiling, suddenly leaned forward. His eyes narrowed, and his tone sharpened. "You know, Harry, I respect your story, but let's be real," he said, and the studio fell silent. "You call yourself just Harry, but you still use the Prince title to promote your projects. That's not exactly authenticity, is it? You're not royal blood in the way people think. It's just a brand." The crowd gasped. Cameras zoomed in, capturing every facial expression. Oprah raised her eyebrows, and Ellen Portman shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Harry froze, his face flushed, but he quickly composed himself. "Will, that's unfair," he replied, his voice trembling with restrained offense. "I don't choose how people see me. I'm trying to use my platform for good, to talk about mental health. And you're accusing me of what? Being born into this family?" The audience split, some clapped for Will, others whispered, shocked by his bluntness. Producers backstage exchanged nervous glances, and camera operators scrambled to adjust angles, capturing Harry's reaction. Oprah tried to intervene. "Okay, let's lower the tension a bit. You're both talking about authenticity, but maybe we can..." But Will cut in, his voice rising. "Oprah, I respect you, but let me finish. I've spent my whole life fighting to be taken seriously, without titles, without labels. I don't hide behind a brand. And here we have someone calling himself just Harry while leaning on Prince to sell his story. Decide who you are, Harry." Harry clenched his fists, his face hardening. "You don't know what I've been through, Will. You don't know what it's like to live under the pressure of the royal family, and then try to find yourself. You think I'm using the title? I'm trying to change the world, and you're just making movies." The crowd buzzed with whispers. Some audience members pulled out their phones to record. Ellen Portman tried to defuse the situation, chiming in. "Guys, you're both doing incredible things." But her words were lost in the tension. The cameras hummed, the spotlights fell brighter, and the air in the studio grew heavy. The conflict was just beginning. What will happen when the tension reaches its breaking point? Will Will Smith prove his point, or will Prince Harry have the last word? Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned to find out how this television drama unfolds. The studio of The Spotlight Hour in New York froze. The tension between Will Smith and Prince Harry had reached a boiling point after Will accused Harry of hypocrisy for using his Prince title to promote his projects. The hum of cameras grew louder, and the spotlights seemed to burn the stage. The audience sat breathless, some whispering, others filming the scene on their phones. Producers backstage exchanged panicked gestures, and camera operators hurriedly switched angles, capturing every facial expression. Oprah Winfrey, trying to steer the conversation back to safer ground, raised her hand. "Okay, let's take a pause," she said, her voice calm but authoritative. "You're both talking about authenticity, and it's an important topic. Will, why do you think Harry can't be both a prince and someone fighting for change?" Will leaned back on the couch, his eyes still fixed on Harry. He pursed his lips, as if weighing his response, but his tone remained sharp. "Oprah, I'm not saying he can't fight for change. But when you call yourself just Harry while using the title to draw attention to your projects, it feels like a game. You either fully reject the royal legacy or admit it still defines you. You can't have it both ways." The crowd erupted in mixed reactions. Some clapped in support of Will, others booed, offended by his attack. Harry leaned forward, his face flushed, his voice trembling with suppressed anger. "Seriously, Will?" he replied, his British accent growing sharper. "You think I can just erase my past? I didn't choose to be born into the royal family. I'm trying to use my platform to talk about mental health, about things that actually matter. And you're accusing me of hypocrisy? Maybe take a look at yourself. You make blockbusters and call it authenticity." The words hit like lightning. The audience gasped, and Ellen Portman, the co-host, shifted uncomfortably, attempting to intervene. "Guys, let's talk about your projects," she began, but her voice was drowned out by the tension. Will raised an eyebrow, his smile turning cold. "Oh, so now we're going after my movies?" he said, his voice dripping with irony. "Harry, I don't hide behind titles. I fought for every role, every opportunity. I didn't show up with Hollywood star stamped on my forehead to sell my film. I'm here because I believe in the story I'm telling. You're using Prince to sell your series. Call it what you want, but that's not authenticity." The audience split again, some shouted, "Will," while others called out, "Harry!" Security near the stage exchanged glances, ready to step in, and producers whispered frantically into headsets. The cameras buzzed, capturing every moment, and the click of Harry's microphone as he adjusted it cut through the silence. Harry clenched his fists, his face hardening. He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself, but his voice shook with anger. "You have no right to judge me, Will," he said, his words slicing through the air. "You don't know what it's like to live under a microscope, where every move is dissected. I left the royal family to be free, but I can't erase my name. And I won't apologize for using my platform to help people. You make movies about heroes, but in real life, you're attacking others for their choices." Will stood up from the couch, his posture tense but dignified. He turned to Harry, his eyes blazing. "Attacking?" he said, his voice low and powerful. "No, Harry. I'm speaking the truth. You want to be a hero? Then be one without the title. I wasn't born with Prince on my resume. I fought for everything I have, and I don't hide behind excuses. You talk about mental health? Great. But don't pretend you're just Harry when your whole brand is built on the royal crown." The studio fell silent. The audience sat stunned, with only a few whispers breaking the quiet. Oprah raised her hand, trying to regain control, but Will turned to her. "Oprah, I respect you in this show, but I'm done," he said. Then he faced the audience, his voice softening but resolute. "I believe everyone should be real. Don't hide behind titles, fame, or anything else. If you want to change the world, do it through your actions, not your labels. Thank you for listening. He turned and walked off the stage, his footsteps echoing loudly on the floor. The audience erupted, some cheered, others booed, and some sat in shock. Harry remained on the couch, his face a mix of anger and humiliation. Oprah quickly called for a commercial break, and producers rushed backstage, trying to process what had just happened. When the show returned from the break, Harry was still on the couch, but his posture was less confident. Oprah tried to smooth things over, addressing the audience with a smile. "Well, that was a moment we won't forget," she said, prompting nervous laughter from the crowd. "Let's talk about your projects." But it was clear the moment had gone viral. On social media, clips of the clash spread like wildfire, with hashtags #Will vs. Harry and #Spotlight Showdown trending. Some praised Will for his candor, while others accused him of attacking Harry. Harry's fans wrote that he deserved respect for his work, while Will's supporters lauded him for keeping it real. The clash between Will Smith and Prince Harry sparked heated debates. Some believed Will crossed the line by accusing Harry of hypocrisy, while others saw truth in his words about authenticity. Both reputations shifted. Will was praised for his boldness but criticized for his sharpness, while Harry gained sympathy for his vulnerability but faced questions about leveraging his title. What do you think about this conflict? Did Will do the right thing by challenging Harry? Did Harry have a point in defending his choices? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to stay tuned for more stories like this. Who was right in this television drama? The clash between Will Smith and Prince Harry on the Spotlight Hour was more than just a television event, it split the opinions of millions. In the moment when Will walked off the stage after his fiery speech about authenticity, leaving Harry seated with a tense expression, the studio fell silent. But the real storm unfolded beyond its walls, in the digital realm, where clips of their argument spread like wildfire. On social media, the moment went viral before the show even ended. Hashtags #Will vs. Harry and #Spotlight Showdown flooded platforms from X to TikTok. Users shared snippets of Will challenging Harry for using the Prince title to gain fame and clips of Harry defending his fight for mental health awareness. Opinions were divided. Some praised Will for his bluntness, calling him a voice of truth, who dared to say what many were thinking. Others accused him of aggression, arguing he unfairly attacked Harry, who was already under pressure due to his royal past. "Will crossed the line," one ex-commenter wrote. "Harry's trying to change the world, not just make movies." Meanwhile, Will's supporters fired back. "He said what everyone sees. Harry can't be just Harry when he's banking on the title." For Will Smith, the moment was another twist in a career full of highs and lows. His speech about authenticity and actions over labels resonated with many, especially those who saw him as a self-made man who rose without privilege. But critics pointed to his sharpness, recalling past controversies like the Oscars incident. "Will showed his temper again," one tabloid wrote. But was he right? His new film Unbreakable Spirit gained extra attention, but not all saw it as positive publicity. Some fans worried his everyman hero image might suffer due to perceptions of him being overly confrontational. For Prince Harry, the conflict was another trial in his new life outside the royal family. His supporters defended his vulnerability and sincerity, emphasizing that he uses his platform for important causes like combating mental health stigma. "Harry doesn't deserve this," one fan wrote. "He left everything to be himself, and he's still judged." Yet, inspired by Will's words, critics began questioning whether Harry could truly distance himself from the royal brand while still using the Duke of Sussex title. His documentary series saw a surge in viewership, but it also faced increased skeptical commentary about his motives. Oprah Winfrey, as the show's host, found herself in a delicate position. Her attempts to defuse the conflict during the broadcast were widely praised, but many felt she could have stopped the escalation sooner. In later interviews, she diplomatically sidestepped direct comments, only noting, "It was a moment that showed how hard it is to be authentic in a world where everyone has their own truth." Her show earned record ratings, but producers faced criticism for letting the situation spiral out of control. In a broader sense, the clash raised critical questions about authenticity, privilege, and the power of influence. Can someone born into privilege ever truly shed their status? Is it fair to accuse someone of leveraging fame when it's for a good cause? These questions buzzed across talk shows, articles, and social media posts, prompting people to share their own stories of grappling with identity. Neither Will nor Harry commented publicly on the conflict after the show. Will returned to promoting his film, while Harry focused on his charitable work. But their clash left a lasting mark, reminding the world that even stars and princes are human, wrestling with their truths. Who was right? Did Will have grounds to challenge Harry? Was Harry's response justified? These questions remain open. Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us, what would you have done in their shoes?